There is a certain look a bathroom gets when the water running through your pipes is hard. You scrub the bowl white on a Monday, and by Wednesday that same faint orange ring is climbing back up the porcelain like it never left. The faucet grows a crust around its base you can feel with your thumbnail. The bar of soap by the sink turns to mush before the week is even out. You buy the bottle with the blue label, then the one with the green label, then the one shaped like a swan's neck that swears it will reach up under the rim, and none of it holds. After a while you start to believe the house is simply winning, and you are simply losing. I want to tell you this morning that none of those bottles were ever going to fix it, and that what actually works has probably been sitting in your kitchen drawer the whole time. My name is Nomi Yoder. I keep house with my husband and our 6 children, and between the garden, the wash line, and the kitchen, I've picked up a good deal from the women who raised me, my mother, my grandmother, and the older women in our community who never threw a thing out because they couldn't afford to and wouldn't have wanted to anyway. None of them had a cleaning aisle. They had a handful of plain things and a great deal of knowing, and the knowing is worth more because knowing travels from one house to the next, from one mother to the next daughter. What I want to show you today is a plain roll of aluminum foil, the dollar store kind, and the honest jobs it will actually do around your house. Not the nonsense that goes around online. The real ones. But before I show you a single good use, I have to clear something up because there's a video making the rounds telling people to drop crumpled foil balls into the toilet tank. That does nothing. Not a thing. People claim it shines the water or keeps the bowl clean through some quiet chemistry, and it simply doesn't. Worse, those little balls break apart and clog the flapper and fill valve, and on plenty of toilets, it will void your warranty outright the moment a repairman looks inside. So you'll have spent your afternoon and gotten a dirtier toilet and a voided warranty for your trouble. That's a bad trade, and we're not doing it here. I'd rather tell you the truth and keep your trust than sell you a trick that wastes your afternoon. That's how my mother taught me at her own sink, and it's how I mean to teach you. One more thing, said early so I don't have to interrupt myself later. If you want the full method, the whole way we run this household for thousands less than most families spend a year, I've written it all out in one place, and the link sits below this video. And because the old ways only stick if you actually put them to use, we built a small community around this method too. So you're not doing it alone, you can ask questions and stay consistent alongside other households doing the same work. That link is in the description as well. Now, the foil, because there's good to be had here. Here's the thing you need to understand about that ring in your toilet, because once you see it you can't unsee it. What you're scrubbing at is not dirt. You can attack it with a brush all morning, and it will sit there unmoved, because it isn't sitting on the surface. It's mineral, lime, and iron pulled straight out of your water, hardening onto the porcelain the exact same way scale builds up inside a kettle you've boiled 1,000 times. My grandmother knew this without ever hearing a word of the chemistry behind it, simply from living with hard well water her whole life and watching it crust every pot and basin she owned. She used to say the water wasn't dirty, it was full. Full of the ground it rose through. Full of the stone it passed over. And you don't wash away something that's full. Washing lifts what sits on top. This sits in. You have to work it loose gently, a little at a time, and stay ahead of it instead of waiting until it's had years to dig in. This is where the foil earns its place. But I want to be honest about where it helps and where it doesn't, because overselling a trick is how you lose someone's trust the first time it fails them. Foil will not touch a heavy old mineral ring that's been building for years. Nothing dry will. That calls for a long soak with something acidic, and that's a different video. But on fresh buildup, the lip of a fixture, the rim of a drain, the first white haze on a faucet base, a piece of foil, crumpled and used gently, lifts new mineral deposit and light tarnish better than a rag ever will, and it won't scratch the way steel wool does. The reason is simple. Foil is softer than porcelain and softer than chrome, but harder than the thin layer of scale sitting on top of them. So it takes the scale and leaves the good surface underneath untouched. Tear off a piece about the size of your palm, crumple it loosely so it has ridges to it, dampen it, and work it in small circles, no harder than you'd rub a child's back. That's the whole trick. $1 for the roll, and the roll lasts a season and more. Now here's the one my mother pulled out every spring before it was our turn to host church Sunday, because it's the prettiest thing foil does, and it costs next to nothing. The good silver would come out of the drawer dull and gray after sitting all winter. You don't need the $4 polish that smells like a dentist's office and stains your fingers black. Line the bottom of a basin with foil, shiny side up. Lay your silver directly on it, piece touching piece. Don't stack them. Pour over hot water with a heaping spoonful of washing soda or baking soda stirred in. Then stand there and watch, because it happens right in front of you. The tarnish lifts off the silver and settles onto the foil instead. No scrubbing, no aching wrist from rubbing each fork by hand. The dark simply moves from the silver to the foil, because the foil draws it more than the silver holds onto it. One metal pulling tarnish off the other, straight through the hot soda water between them. A few minutes, a rinse, a soft cloth, and your silver looks the way it did the day it was given. My grandmother could do a whole drawer this way before her coffee finished coming to a boil. Of caution, because caution is part of the method and not separate from it. This works beautifully on solid silver and silver plate, but it's hard on a few things you should know about. It can dull soft finishes meant to look antique. It should never touch anything with a lacquer or coating, because it will strip that too. And it should never go near knives with the blade set into the handle by glue. The hot water works that old glue loose over time, and you'll find the blade coming free from the handle at some supper down the road. So the bath is for your spoons, forks, and solid serving pieces. Your good knives get wiped by hand, the slow way, and stay out of the water entirely. Being straight with you about what a thing can and can't do, that's how trust gets kept, at your table and at mine. Now, the rattle, you know the one, that clatter every time the toilet lid goes up or down, or the whole seat shifting loose on its hinges no matter how many times you've gone at the bolts. Fold a strip of foil over on itself a few times into a firm little pad, and tuck it under the hinge where the seat meets the bowl. It takes up the loose play and quiets it right down. The same idea as the folded scrap of cardboard my grandmother wedged under her kitchen table's short leg. Use as much or as little as the gap needs. Costs nothing, and you'd be surprised how quiet a house feels once the rattle's gone, and you stop noticing it. The soap dish is the same kind of small mercy, and it's real money. A bar left sitting in its own puddle turns to slime and disappears in half the time it should. So you're back at the store buying soap twice as often as you need to. People will tell you to stretch a rubber band across the dish, but the bar just rides up over the band and slides off the first time a child grabs it. Instead, press a square of foil down into the dish to line it, crimp the edges up into a little tray, and pleat a few ridges into the bottom with your fingers so the bar sits up high and the water drains away underneath. It dries hard between washings instead of going soft, and a bar that used to last a week and a half will give you closer to 3 weeks. That's real money over a year, on something most people never think twice about. Exactly the kind of small leak a household springs without noticing. A few more quick ones while we're at it, because foil is generous that way. If your good chain necklaces always come out of your travel bag in one cruel knot, lay each chain flat on a strip of foil and fold it over. It can't tangle if it can't move. If a little jar in your wash bag always leaks a cap of salve, a bit of powder, a small bottle of oil, lay a square of foil over the mouth before you screw the lid down, and it will seal instead of weeping out over your clothes. And on a faucet base or shower head where hard water crust keeps returning no matter how you scrub, once it's clean, wrap that spot in foil to slow the new buildup from settling back in. The same idea as keeping the air off a cut apple to stop it browning. None of these are miracles, and I won't call them that. They're small, true savings stacked one on top of another, and that, not any single clever trick, is how a household actually gets kept over a lifetime. I want to say plainly who benefits from you not knowing any of this. Walk down the cleaning aisle at any store and count the bottles. 1 for the toilet ring, 1 for the faucet, 1 for the silver, 1 for the tile, 1 for the glass, 1 for the wood. Turn them around and read the fine print, and you'll find most of them are the same handful of cheap ingredients dressed up in different colors and different prices and different promises. The companies filling those bottles do very well once you've come to believe you need 12 different products for 12 different jobs that a $1 roll of foil, a box of soda, and a little patience could handle between them. I don't say this like there's a room somewhere with men plotting to keep you in the dark. It isn't that, and in a way it's worse because nobody had to plan it. It happened slowly over 100 years, as the bottles got cheaper to make and easier to sell, and the knowing got easier and easier to let slip. The forgetting is the product, whether anyone would put it in those words or not. And the only way back is the slow way, one household at a time, one woman remembering on purpose and passing it to the next. That's exactly why we built the community around this method, so the old ways don't just get watched once and forgotten, but actually get used week after week, alongside other households doing the same work. The link for that is in the description too. It's one thing to watch someone lift tarnish off a spoon on a screen and think, well, isn't that something? It's another thing to stand at your own basin and do it with your own hands, and then do the next thing and the next until a year from now your house runs differently than it did, and you've got the numbers to prove it. That's what the community holds you to once the watching wears off and the ordinary days come back around. So here's what I'll ask of you. The same thing I always ask, because I'm genuinely curious about the houses you all keep. Go look at your own water. Look hard at the ring in your bowl, the crust on your faucet, the scale in your kettle, and come tell me down in the comments two things. What county you live in and how old your house is. Hard water runs different from one place to the next, and old pipes carry it differently than new ones do. I read every comment down there, and it teaches me things I wouldn't learn any other way. So take the dollar roll. Use it for the honest things and skip the foolish ones, and now you know which is which. Keep your silver bright, your soap dry, your faucets clean, and your toilet lid quiet, and do it for $1. None of it is clever, not really. It's only remembered. The women who kept these houses before us were no smarter than you or I. They simply couldn't afford to forget. And everything they refused to let go of is sitting right there on a dollar roll in your kitchen drawer, waiting for you to reach in and pick it back up.